This week, week 16 of 52, we are covering I am skilled in our NHS neurohypersensitivity workbook. This video is about what being skilled means in the brain. Last week's video, there we discussed what I am talented, meaning being talented means in the brain, and the difference between the two. And by the end of this video, I really do hope that you will be understanding the difference between what being talented and what being skilled really means in the brain, which regions are being covered in either of these things. And next week, we are covering what I am gifted means. This is so interesting because I am talented, I am skilled, and I am gifted means completely different things in the brain. And guess what? I would like to hype you up here because the first week of May, after I'm talented, I'm skilled, I'm gifted, we will be covering I am rich. This is so interesting, and I hope you are following the series. These practical neuroscience masterclasses will be only up for 48 hours, so I really do hope you will catch that. And also, you will be able to get every week our audit or our protocol, whatever it is in the topic. In this case, we have an audit for you. For 48 hours will be for you for free. That's my gift for you. And after that will be downloadable, purchasable for only $9.99. And you can do that hopefully after this video on your own. Of course, if you need help, I'm here to work with you. So these videos, these master classes, practical neuroscience master classes of 52 weeks with all the audits, all the protocols will be available in my NHS neuroplasticity program. You can apply for that and get access to that for the launching price right now. You can access that on my website, draigenshahin.com/courses. Now, without further ado, let's dive in. This scenario that I'm going to explain to you will apply to you because it applies to all of us, right? And this is, think about a time when you were working hard, putting the hours, you are practicing, maybe it's a project, maybe it is a task or simply your work, but you realize even though you practice every day, put in the hours, something is not adding up because somehow you are making the correlation that all the hours that I put in versus the outcome, the results are not matching up. Something is not right. You feel like you plateaued, or you even feel like, okay, this skill is not up for me. I'm not skilled enough to really achieve that. Listen, we all been there, right? But there's something really, I'm telling you that nobody, I'm pretty sure, told you about this. What I'm telling you is right now, if you find yourself, and this is my situation, then I'm going to tell you that most practices do not build a skill. Let's take that in for a moment. Again, most practices do not build your skill. It's not because that you don't put the repetition to get your job done, or you are practicing for your work or your project. It's because from the neuroscience perspective, your brain does not build the skill capacity from repetition alone. There's something else needed here, and that's what we are discovering. By the end of this video, you will learn what that is, because it builds these practices, these new capabilities with a very specific kind of action. That is the correlation in the brain, or some sort of struggle, if you will. And this word struggle is important. You will see towards the end of the video in the slides that this is important. From the neuroscience perspective, this wording actually is important, and that's why I said it out loud like this: the struggle. There's something needed here so that the brain can build the capacity based on skills. Okay? And once you understand that, hopefully by the end of this video, everything will change if you really put the practice in based on what I'm explaining you today. And also, here with the audit that I have for you. The skill building audit will be available to download right here for you for free for 48 hours and will be, of course, available in the program. But with that all together, I'm pretty sure you finally understand how you can actually build skills that brings results. And let me tell you, 2 weeks from now, we are covering I'm Rich. So you make sense of it, okay? So now in this video, I'm explaining to you all of this, what I'm skilled means in the brain, and how can you activate that. Welcome back to my channel.
Welcome to my practical brain lab experiments on a calm, stable life.
Welcome back, everybody. My name is Dr. Aydin Shaheen. Yes, a real scientist of 26 years. And let me tell you this. This week, when we cover I am skilled, I told you that I will be explaining to you what I am skilled means in the brain, right? But now I will be breaking this down in 4 sections. The first will be what is actually happening when you practice. What is actually happening in the brain when you practice? Then we will cover the 3 stages every skill goes through. So important. And then the third is why your practice is not building a skill. Why your practice is not building a skill. And then the last is what deliberate practice actually looks like. So basically, as I mentioned in the beginning, what type of practice can you do in order to get the results? Yay! And then of course we will have our core assignment this week, which is the skill building audit, and I'll talk a little bit about that, and then I hope I will be able to bring you the necessary information, and I really hope that you can use this from the practical neuroscience perspective and apply this in your life, and that's the whole point of my entire series. Let's get started. So now let's talk about what is actually happening when you practice. Every skill you have, whether it is speaking, writing, playing an instrument, coaching, coding, cooking, anything at all, is a chain of nerve fibers in your brain carrying an electrical signal through a circuit. How good you are is a chain of nerve fibers in your brain carrying an electrical signal through a circuit. How good you are at that skill is not about how much raw talent you started with, but rather about how fast and strong and precise that electrical signal travels. And what determines that is myelin. Myelin, I'm pretty sure you have heard about this. It is very common in neuroscience or anything about neuro. Myelin, I'm pretty sure you have heard about this. Myelin is a mixture of proteins and phospholipids forming a whitish insulating sheet around many nerve fibers. The way, for example, a rubber insulation wraps a copper wire, increasing the speed at which impulses are conducted. It prevents the signal from leaking out. That's the whole point of myelin. The thicker the myelin around a given circuit, the faster and more precisely the signal travels, and the better the corresponding skill. Here is what matters most. Myelin grows in response to use. Every time you fire a circuit through practice, and specifically through a kind of practice that involves noticing errors and correcting them, a layer of myelin wraps around that path. Each layer adds speed and precision. Skill is not metaphorically built through practice. Not at all. Skill is physically built in the brain. You can see it on brain scans. Now, here are the 3 stages every skill goes through. In 1967, psychologists Paul Fitz and Michael Posner mapped out how skill develops in the brain. Their model has held up across nearly 60 years of neuroscience research, and it explains exactly what you are experiencing at every stage of learning something new. Here's stage 1. Everything is slow, conscious, and effortful. The prefrontal cortex is running the whole thing. You are thinking about every single component of what you are doing. This feels exhausting because it is exhausting. The brain is running the skill on its most expensive, energy-intensive system. And here's stage 2. Pattern starts to form. Errors become less frequent. And then, the prefrontal cortex, right, begins handing control over to the basal ganglia, which is the brain's deep skill storage system. The basal ganglia work through a reinforcement learning. Actions that produce correct outcomes get strengthened, actions that don't get weakened. Stage 3. The skill is automatic. The basal ganglia are running it with almost no conscious input required. The prefrontal cortex has stepped back completely. This is why a professional musician can play a complex piece while holding a full conversation. The skill no longer needs the conscious brain to manage it. And here's something fascinating that most people never hear. Once a skill reaches stage 3, thinking consciously about your technique can actually make it worse. This is what researchers call choking under pressure. The prefrontal cortex tries to re-engage with a process the basal ganglia have already mastered. The procedural system runs best when the conscious mind gets out of the way. Now, building on this, let me explain to you why your practice is not building skill. Here is why most people plateau, and it is not what you think. Myelin grows in response to one very specific type of practice. Not high volume, not going through the motions, not repeating what you can already do comfortably. Myelin responds to targeted struggle at the edge of your current ability. Practice that involves attempting something slightly beyond that you can currently do reliably, noticing when it goes wrong and correcting it before the next attempt. When you practice what you can already do comfortably, you are firing circuits that are already well myelinated. You are confirming existing capability. You are not building anything new. Think about this way. If you have been playing guitar for 10 years, but you only ever play the songs you already know, you have 10 years of repetition and probably 3 years worth of actual skill growth because you stopped operating at the edge of your ability years ago. The struggle is not the obstacle to skill development. The struggle is the mechanism. I want you to understand that. So now, what then deliberate practice actually looks like? Deliberate practice has 3 components. They are grounded entirely in neuroscience, and here's what it is. First, chunk it. What that means is break the skill down into its smallest meaningful components and work on each one separately. The brain builds circuits component by component, not all at once. Master the piece, then rebuild the whole. Second, work at the edge. This means that each repetition should feel slightly uncomfortable, just beyond what you can execute reliably. That discomfort is not a problem. That, in fact, is the signal that the new circuits are firing and new myelin is being laid down. Now, correct and do not repeat. And this means that repetition without correction builds the wrong pathways faster. The error detection and correction cycle is the actual trigger for myelin growth. Noticing what went wrong and adjusting it before the next attempt is not weakness in your practice. That is the whole point of practice. Now, did you get the whole thing? This means that, listen, I play a music instrument, right? I think in the 7th grade or so, and I started playing. My teacher taught me how to play literally technique by technique by technique. For 1 year, he did not let us play the whole song. 1 year went by and people literally at home asking me, can you play us a song? Can you play us a song? I'm like, I'm just getting practice, I can't do the songs yet. And people were like thinking, what is happening? You can't play even a song yet? Like, it's been a year. Guess what? That piece and practice and practice and practice in pieces correctly, let me tell you, once you had that, I could play all songs, every songs, whatever it is, because I mastered the techniques from the ground up. So once you practice something in a wrong way, also, your new circuits develop in that direction. So you don't want to do that. What you want to do is to build your myelins, your new circuits, in a direction that's accurate, and then build from there up. That way you will be able to master the whole work or project, whatever you're practicing about. And this is the key here. The myelins and the circuits that develop in that direction, and at one point, you also, once your brain just plays naturally and there is no prefrontal cortex involved, meaning you stop thinking, you just like do it. That's not talent. Remember, that's last week. That has nothing to do with that. Because once you practice, the prefrontal cortex sends to basal ganglia and then it becomes natural, automatic, okay? Natural again doesn't mean talent. It means automatically because you built the skill, meaning you built your new circuits with the new myelin development. That's what it is. But once you start to engage your prefrontal cortex, I'm pretty sure you experience that you've kind of like wobble around, like, what happened? Or you make mistakes because you start to involve your prefrontal cortex again. That's not how it works. And also, very, very important here, you need to be able to push yourself a little bit, because without that struggle, without that push, new circuits cannot be developed. Then you will go literally with prefrontal cortex, which will not make you the basal ganglia activated, and from there you build the skill automatically. You need to be able to struggle with that practice. So if that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, that's what you want, and that, my friend, builds the skills, the new circuits with the myelin in your brain. And that's how, my friend, is skills being built that gives you also results at the end. I hope this was helpful to you. Now, very quickly, our audit. What is the skill building audit? Let's dive a little bit into that so that you get a better understanding what it is. And then I will ask you 3 questions, and I hope you can answer those questions for me. So this week we are using the skill building audit, and of course the PDF, it's a PDF file. It is actually this time 17 pages, I believe, and you can download it. Literally click the link in the description. What's happening is every day from Monday through Sunday, and there are 2 parts, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 2 separate parts, 2 separate questions, and then at the end of the week, assessment. And then, of course, we have 3 questions there, and you will answer also those questions. So again, each day we have 3 things. What specific component did you work on? Where you generally at the edge, or did you slip into comfortable repetition? What error did you notice, and what did you do to correct it? These are 3 things. It will only take you 2 minutes, and every day you notice this, okay? You note this in your PDF file. Then do not assess your performance. Assess your practice quality. That's what we need to assess in this audit, okay? Those are completely different things. The performance versus practice quality. Confusing them is exact by most people, plateau. because the performance versus practice quality is completely different. And I'm telling you, I 1000% can attest to that. If you play a music instrument, if you watch any professional musician, you will completely understand what I just said. The performance versus practice quality. Every professional musician would practice until they make it, like practice to the highest level of quality. I have seen this with my own eyes. I've done it myself. The performance cannot be good if you have not practiced in a very high quality level. Then forget about the performance. There won't be a performance. People will see through that. It will not work. People will definitely see through, okay? The same thing with your work, with your project. People will see through that. I can guarantee you that. Okay, and then I want you to bring that data with you into these questions that I'm going to ask you right now. So now, if you're still here, you're thinking, okay, I practiced, I did everything, I put all the efforts in, I don't want to plateau, I really want to progress in that skill that I am developing right now. I want you to answer honestly these 3 questions right now, right here. Does any of this, what I just explained to you, make sense for you? Why you have been stuck? That's the first question I want you to think about and answer in your mind. You can answer also out loud, okay? And the second question I want you to answer is, do you think having someone who exactly knows what this is about in the brain scientifically and build a whole system around it, all protocols, all programs around it, will help you to get there where you want to be? Or do you think you can figure out all of this on your own? And the third question I want you to answer is, are you ready to stop practicing harder and harder and harder and then it eventually plateau? Or are you ready to practice finally right meaning from the neuroscience perspective, from the right circuit, right myelins developing, and to get there finally overcoming the plateau? So I want you to answer these 3 questions. If you answered no to all of these, then of course keep learning. My masterclasses are here for you. My audits are also here, my protocols. So keep learning. It's always great. You can improve yourself with hopefully with my programs or helping you. And also the audits, the protocols are always available. Even after this video will not be available after 48 hours. But of course, if you answered yes to all of this, then I can help you. I can help you to work one-on-one with you, and I help you with science, with practical neuroscience, to actually get you where you're supposed to be based on you and you only. Not cookie cutter systems here, personalized for you. And for that, of course, I have the link below. You can click and we can schedule a time with you and get started. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this was helpful to you. Let me know in the comments. Hit the like button and of course subscribe. Don't miss next week's video, which is I am gifted. And see how different that is from talented and skilled. And then the week after that, first week of May, is I am rich. We will get there. I can wait for these master classes with you, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care.
You're